Good afternoon, everybody. I am First Alert Meteorologist Diane Phillips, and we are going to be talking about our Tuesday First Alert forecast as we have a little bit of cloud cover coming in. You're also going to find it's maybe not as nice as yesterday because of the clouds, but at least the temperatures are pretty comparable. But we are going to also be looking at some of the things that have our attention here for later in the week, but we are going to be finding at least a dry forecast for today. Starting out here, we are going to see that our temperatures, those are currently sitting into the lower 70s, so those have warmed up nicely for us. Thankfully, we are out of those 50s, and I don't have any more 50s to be coming in, so that is going to be very much something that we're all looking forward to, considering we've had a lot of that cold weather here lately. But we do have 71 in Saginaw, 72 in Alma, 72 in Clare, 68 yet in Houghton Lake, 66 in Oscoda, and the lake breeze, just because we've been sourcing those northerly and northeasterly winds a lot lately. We are finding we're at 56 in Port Hope, 53 in Harbor Beach, and 51 in Port Sanilac. So of course it's been a little bit cooler right there along the shoreline. I know a lot of you have said, oh, we're just kind of tired of it being a little bit on the cooler side, but if we could get those winds turned around to help you out a little bit, we would do that if we could. Now, maybe you do want to go and have some warmer weather and head outside. One of our things that you could do is go to the park today with temperatures further inland sitting into the 70s. We'll continue to warm up in and closer to the mid 70s this afternoon. We will find that the cloud cover though is going to be pretty strong. So if you do have a moment of some sun, enjoy it while you have it. But overall, we are going to find that the cloud cover really does start to win out. And it will be a little bit breezy at times. We were seeing that in Houghton Lake, kind of the tree there was grabbing quite a bit of air. But as we go throughout the day today, we've found that we've had a few breaks in the clouds, but overall the clouds have really kind of been winning out. They're high cirrus clouds, so those still allow for that sunshine to come through, but they are not going to bring us full bright skies overhead. So that's kind of been the trick here lately. As we check our satellite, you can see that the cloud cover is kind of those wispy clouds. I call them cotton candy when I talk to a lot of local students. So we are going to find that those are what we have sitting overhead. There's a few breaks you can see here between Lansing, Jackson, towards Grand Rapids. And we're hoping that this can kind of hold on. We have some cumulus clouds that are building up here this afternoon and some of the heat, but we are hoping that maybe we can get some sun in and that would time out to be here towards the evening commute. So we'll see how well that little bit of clearing holds up, but you can see that the sunshine is doing a pretty good job at building in some of those cumulus clouds. But thankfully we have some dry weather here. We don't have too much as far as that rain. I know we do have some of those showers that are building in towards our west and even towards our south. So it's a little bit unorganized, you could say the least. And even as the system tries to get organized, it still isn't until tomorrow that we see our rain chances here in mid-Michigan. So if you do need to cut the grass, you still have a nice window tonight to do that. If you're thinking, oh, I got back from coming up north and I didn't have time on Monday to do it. Thankfully tonight you do still have some time for that. We do also have the red mowers coming out of the shed for Wednesday and Thursday, just because we do have some rain chances then. But not each day is going to be a total wash. You still could have a window to where you can go and get the grass cut. Of course, Thursday will kind of be behind some of that rainfall, so you may not want to mow on some wet grass there. But Friday, we do have a little window there. We'll kind of talk about some of these rain chances though coming up. But Saturday is going to be kind of the next best day after today, where you won't have to be timing it out against some of the rainfall coming through. So just some points to keep in mind as we do have a rainy forecast here for the later half of the week. I know it's still a little bit of spring here, but we are going to continue to see some of those spring showers as we go. So these are just some of our rain chances. Wednesday looks to be the best rainy day in our forecast, and then we will find that it kind of backs off a little bit going into Thursday and Friday. But thankfully, really right now, this point in the year, we're going to try to keep those weekends dry, and we're happy that so far we do have a dry forecast, because we will find that it's graduations, we have a lot of parties, a lot of local events that are going to be going on. So we are happy to be keeping that forecast on the drier side. Now we will find outside though that we do still have quite a bit of cloud cover that is hanging overhead here, but dry conditions in downtown Flint. But before we get into your full forecast, we are going to be taking a quick little break and we'll be right back. Thanks for sticking with us as we hop into that full forecast. We're going to start here with our hour by hour, and we already have the cloud cover that we've seen here so far today. And those clouds, as I had mentioned, we were hoping to get some breaks in them, but still plan on seeing more clouds and sunshine. If you're able to use your sunglasses, that's a great win. Now, I have the clock stopped at 5 p.m., and you can see that we have some green dots that are showing up here. So that does signal that there is some moisture that is around, but I am seeing a lot of dry air at the surface too. So probably a lot of those raindrops are going to even evaporate before they get close to the ground level. So that's why we are keeping today dry. But again, that moisture is going to have to come and kind of eat away at some of that drier air, bringing us some rain chances as we go into Wednesday. So it'll be pretty quiet here tonight. We'll still be looking at mostly cloudy skies. And thankfully, that's what we'll have to get out the door. Now, I've really been watching the timing going into our Wednesday forecast because we will find that a lot of that is going to try to hold off until around dinner or shortly thereafter. But I have seen some of our data that's been a little bit on the earlier side. So I am still going to kind of be watching for that evening commute time frame to start to see some of these showers roll in. The big question is how quickly does that moisture get here and how well does it eat away at the dry air? So that's why we're a little bit uncertain on that exact start time, but around the late afternoon going into the evening is when we expect to see the rain. It'll be fairly steady as this storm pivots through. You can see here at 11, we have some pretty steady rainfall as it kind of pushes further north. So everybody here in mid-Michigan, as it swings northward, is going to have the chance to be seeing some of this rain. We'll have that in our northern counties right ahead of sunrise, and then we will find that just some lingering showers will be here Thursday morning. We're going to try to kind of dry out Thursday. We have that sitting at a 30% right now just to kind of catch some of that morning rainfall. So we may be able to bring that back down a little bit. Looking at some of our rain totals from this system, I truly anticipate a lot of us would be about a quarter of an inch or less, but depending where kind of some of those heavy pockets of rainfall sit, as we had seen there in the hour by hour, some yellows showing up. So that may allow for some folks in the Great Lakes Bay region to pick up a little bit higher than that quarter of an inch. We may see 3 to 4 tenths in the rain gauge. So we will be kind of watching these numbers. As far as the drought monitor is concerned, we can take on some rain. We have room to do it. I know some of our farmers, we've already been planting, so just kind of seeing some rainfall to keep things going would be welcomed, but we want to kind of, thread that needle and kind of see how well we can do here. We don't want too much rain. We just want the correct amount. Now, another thing that we are watching is as the rainfall comes in, we don't really want to have our temperatures drop too much, but we do see them slip back into the 60s. And thankfully, these are not the 50s, but still the 60s are not where we should be. Our normal high for today is 73 degrees, so we're closer to that. But when we are forecasting mid to upper 60s for a couple of days in the future, we are going to find that, of course, that's not quite where we should be. So the rainfall does keep us a little bit cooler on Wednesday and Thursday. Friday, we rebound nicely going around 73, but we do have a cold front that'll come in Friday evening. So that's why we had to back Saturday down into the mid 60s just to kind of recover, take a little bit of time to catch back up. And then going into Sunday, we will have some of those temperatures rebounding and seeing some 70s, and I have even more heat in that 7-day forecast, which we'll talk about that in a little bit. But lows for tonight, thankfully, are going to be a little bit more mild. Normally, we should be seeing our morning lows around 52 degrees, so thankfully, we're closer to that. Going to be looking at those to be into the lower 50s for tonight, and the cloud cover is also kind of helping. It creates that blanket, keeps us a little more insulated, so some of the heat that we gather here this afternoon, we won't be losing all of that, and that's going to help us to kind of set us up for some more mild nights. You might even have the windows open. I know a lot of people like 50s. That's kind of that sweet spot for sleeping with the windows open, getting that cooler breeze coming in. But I do want to preview, I know it's only Tuesday, but everybody loves talking about the weekend. And here during the summer season, a lot of us make plans pretty early on. So we are going to be looking at quite a bit of sunshine in this forecast. I was looking at some of the data yesterday and I was a little bit leery. There were some rain chances trying to come in. So it's really going to be timing that we're watching closely. Happy to see though that little moment in the data has kind of dissipated a little bit. So that signal not as strong. So we are going to be keeping your Saturday and Sunday dry. I know we have a lot of graduation ceremonies and parties that are going on here for late May. And even this weekend should be the first weekend of June, or actually June 1st will be on Sunday. So soon we'll even be headed into the June wedding season. So we'll definitely be watching those weekends closely. As I mentioned, Saturday a little bit cooler. We'll be behind that cold front. So we have that high right now at 66 and northerly winds. So it's not going to be the warmest of day, but the sunshine, keeping it on the brighter side, that will be welcomed. Also going into Sunday, you will have temperatures rebounding, 73, and looking at a little more sun. Here's a full look at that 7-day forecast where we do have our conditions that allow us to have some 60s coming in. So we do still have some cooler days. You might want to just have those long sleeves ready to go at times, but we will also find that we do have some 70s coming in. The rainfall will be here during the week, but the weekend is still looking good. And even Monday, I have 78, some sunshine. That's exactly what we want to see on a Monday. It just kind of makes us a little more energized, feeling better, and easier to kind of get into the swing of things. So overall, this forecast, we are starting to rebound. We're seeing some good improvements as far as getting more comfortable in the temperature department and where we should be. But so far, no 80s just yet. So we're going to kind of take it nice and slow for folks who say, oh, we always miss spring. It looks like we're kind of getting it here this year. Even with that cool spell, we had a little bonus time because that was some weather that was more similar to late March. Also, overnight temperatures into the 40s and 50s means that our gardens should be in good shape. I know a lot of the nurseries have been busy, and also if you have your garden going. So we are going to find that thankfully that has been in pretty good shape. I know we also ran a story yesterday, or James Feldman, he went to one of the nurseries and they were talking about the conditions and what they saw there. So I'm going to bring up his story in case you weren't able to join us yesterday, and then you can kind of see what they had to say as far as how the season's been going, and even some of those weather and how the weather has been impacting the season with it being a little bit cooler.
Jim Begic tells me the fact that most weekends this month were cool kept sales from heating up.
This weekend, finally, we are having a great weekend. May has not been too good for us, as you may have well guessed, because the weather just hasn't been nice, and people don't like to work outside when the weather's not nice. And now it is, and now they're ready.
Jim Begic, president of Begic Nursery and Garden Center, tells us business is blooming thanks to warm weather and the eager customers it brings.
They're re-landscaping projects, a lot of hanging baskets, a lot of annual flowers, things for their bedding plants that they put out every year now that the threat of frost is over. That's what they're concentrating on right now, but, you know, trees, shrubs, flowering shrubs, anything flowering right now, that's what they're after.
And as you can imagine, these green thumbs say they're glad to stop by.
Oh, it's great. They have beautiful flowers out here.
Love planting flowers, love it, always have. And Begic's is my favorite place because everything just seems bigger and better here.
Just love this place a lot. I can get anything. The hydrangea is one of my favorite, and also this what you call this, azalea, and all the lilies here. Yes, that's why I'm here.
Begic hopes the cool days are behind us and that the weather cooperates this summer.
We don't know what we're going to get. We just have to say our prayers and hope hope God's good.
Begic tells us ideal weather this summer would be moderate temperatures and timely rain. Back to
And so, of course, if you were going to be having those gardens going, maybe you have a little bit of a later start. Make sure that you are having that First Alert weather app up and running. That's going to be a great tool. In case you don't have that yet, you can find it here. And just all you have to do is scan that QR code, and that is going to be a pretty helpful tool to kind of keep you aware of when we do have any frost threats. But hopefully we are done with that for the season. I know nobody wants to continue to have those stresses as their gardens get going. So again, that's a great tool, not only even for checking for any frost or freeze conditions, but also for any severe weather. Thankfully, I don't have any severe weather threats in our forecast, but I know that we are going to be going into June, which is typically one of our more peak months for stronger storms. So of course, the entire weather team, we're going to continue to keep an eye to it. We'll be first alerting you there in the app, and of course, over the air and here online at our First Alert weather desk. So make sure you stay connected with us. We're also going to continue to bring you updates every afternoon around 2 o'clock. So if you ever have any weather questions, of course, you can tune in and join us then and kind of stay up to date on what we're watching as we go through the next, of course, couple of months, the summer season, and before we know it, the seasons that come after that. But I don't want to rush it. So of course, we hope that you have a great afternoon, and thanks for joining us.